Hey guys, Jim here. Welcome back once again. I know it's been a long time since I've did an upload, and I apologize for that. It's been at least a month. I've made no videos. Just unfortunately, life gets in the way. I've been far too busy with work to take time off and to do any videos. But I am coming back today with a bang with a maker that I've wanted to highlight for at least 4 years, and I'm finally getting the chance. And I'm going to show you guys two knives in this particular case, made by Mr. Jeffrey Harkins. Jeff Harkins is pretty much a god when it comes to out-the-front knives. And I've shown you some great out-the-front knives over the years, including customs from Tony Marfione, and they're amazing, amazing knives. However, this is a whole new level. And I'm going to show you two wildly different knives. Matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and take them out right now. And you can see the packaging that they're in here. Oh yeah, look at that shit, right? Oh, that's insanity. Pure and utter insanity. Let's get the other one out. Woo! Sleek and clean. Now what we're looking at here are two wildly different knives. What we've got here is a Triton 2. The Triton has been around in Jeff's collection for a long time, and it's seen a lot of different iterations. And this right here is the Price Buoy, and we'll talk about where the knife comes from in a moment, or excuse me, where the name comes from in a moment. So what we're looking at here are two of the most beautiful and well-crafted out-the-front automatics that you're ever going to see in your life. I don't want to get too many fingerprints on this yet till we've shown the close-up, but I'll be sure to talk about it. So let's break it down. We're going to start with the big guy first, and we'll talk about what goes into the making of a knife like this and the amount of money you can expect to spend. Try to keep as few fingerprints on that as possible, and here we go. So first off, let's talk about the specs. You're looking at a handle that is 6 1/4 inches. The blade is 4 1/2 inches. And overall, it's just about 10 3/4 inches. So it is a massive knife. It's also very, very thick and very, very heavy. Now, the whole idea behind this knife, let's lay this down so you can just focus on the blade here for a moment. It's based off of the Bowie design by Michael Price. Now, Michael Price was a renowned knife maker from the 19th century, so you're looking in the late 1800s, and he was often referred to as the finest knife maker of the Gold Rush era, and he was from San Francisco. Now, the knife was primarily designed by Randy Phillips, and if you don't recognize the name, he's actually a gentleman that owns Hardcore Products and makes the hardcore grinders that are being used by some of the best knife makers in the game today. I've had a chance to play with that grinder, and it's pretty friggin' cool. Now, Randy and Jeff had collaborated and created a company all its own called HHK, which stood for Harkins Hardcore Knife Works. And they really created some wild knives, and it gave Jeff an opportunity to offer a lower price point by making more mid-tech styled knives instead of being 100% full handmade customs. So it gave him a lot of flexibility in the market. So with more than 30 years of experience of making knives himself, Randy used that experience to design a modern day out-the-front knife that was based off of Michael Price's original work, and you can see that here in the style of the blade. Really, really gorgeous. And there were certain elements that were thrown in by Jeff himself, so the knife all came together as this massive and really impressive showpiece. By the way, for those that are curious, yes, that switch is actually gold-plated, so it definitely has a jewelry aspect to it. What you have is a power shell that's inlaid into the frame. Actually, let's start with the blade. That probably makes the most sense. That gorgeous blade is Doug Ponzio Turkish Twist Damascus. The body is made from hot blued 4140 RC38, and he's accented it with these enormous chunks of the power shell. So what you've got is, as an overall package, is a really big, hefty, and beautifully detailed custom out the front. Now this one's valued around $7,500. This is not an inexpensive knife by any stretch of the imagination. There is the HHK logo right there. And as far as the value is concerned, I discussed that directly with Jeff as to what this knife would need to sell for, and that is what his price is on that. Lot of beautiful detail work. Gorgeous Damascus, really, really is. And all the way around, you see that really there's nothing left untouched. There's nothing left that you would want to add or change. Well, for me, I would want a pocket clip. I would have ordered, if I ordered this specifically, I would have, had him make this around a pocket clip so I could actually carry it. Yeah, would I carry something like this? Probably not as definitely not as an everyday carry. That's for certain. But it is certainly a knife that I would carry and enjoy having it in my pocket. It would probably never see any real, of course, hard use. But really, out the fronts weren't designed for that anyway. Nice clean action. It's not a ripping, screaming, super hard firing action. There's something about it that's almost delicate. It comes out with a good amount of force, but it doesn't feel like it's going to jerk out of your hand when the blade stops. It just kind of magically appears and magically disappears, and it has a really nice sound to it as well. Every detail is just clean and smooth, not overdone whatsoever. I tell you right now, if you want to be super impressed, go over to Jeff's website, which is customknives.net, and scroll through the images of his work. And it's mind-boggling, the things that he has achieved with materials and finishes and just crazy things. And it'll be easy to see why he's called the king of the out-the-front knives. But don't forget, he also does folders, manual folders, and dual action folders as well. He doesn't just make out-the-front knives. But when it comes to an out-the-front, if you're a serious collector, you want something of collectible grade, heirloom quality, then you definitely want to be looking at Jeff's knives. If you're looking for an out-the-front to carry every single day, maybe a Microtech's going to work for you for $300, $400, $500. But if you want something that's heirloom quality that is, made to the highest degree, then this is where you want to look. Yeah, you're going to spend a lot of money to do it, but that degree of quality doesn't come cheap in any product, really, when you get down to it. Just impressive. Gorgeous, gorgeous knife. So we're going to set this to the side now and allow the camera to focus on the Triton 2. Now, what we're looking at here is a handle that is 5.5 inches long. The dagger style blade is 4 inches long, and that's where it comes to here. It's a little bit longer if you want to go, like if you go straight across the bolster area here, but 4-inch exposed. So the overall is 9.5 inches. Now this one's valued at about $2,500, and really this is one of Jeff's more medium-priced custom out-the-front knives. You could spend a little bit less or a whole hell of a lot more when you're having Jeff build you a knife, but no matter what you spend, you're getting the best possible custom out-the-front made today, period. Now this particular blade is very special, as it was the only forged to shape Damascus that Doug Ponzio has ever done. So what that means is this steel was hammered out and destined only for this knife. It wasn't just hammered out to a to a rectangle, to bar stock for someone then to cut down. It was hammered out to shape for this particular knife. So that really makes it special. Also, Jeff told me that this is the only existing Triton 2 that is fully polished. Now, bear in mind, this is a knife that has been owned and carried and used, so it doesn't properly reflect a newly delivered knife from Jeff. So please keep that in mind. There are marks on it and everything else, and little rubs here and there, but if you would get a brand new one from him, it would be perfectly polished with no imperfections whatsoever. If you look at the sliding switch, all the detail that he puts all the way around it, the steps going up either side, and that is actually a ruby that you see right there that's set into the top side of the switch. My camera is fighting focus and white balance and everything else because of how shiny this is, but it is wonderfully detailed. And keep in mind, this is a gentleman that does some amazing handwork. His skill is just off the charts. This is classy, it's beautiful, it's elegant, it's still badass looking and tough looking, almost futuristic. That's one of the reasons I've always liked the Triton series. And you know, some of the stuff that he's done where he's engraved really deeply patterns into the frame, just really cool stuff. But I wanted to make sure that I had a chance to sit down and really show you guys the beauty of his work. I wish I could have gotten one of his ATACs. That's something I actually ordered, an ATAC from him about 2 years ago, and he's had some health issues that's prevented him from doing any real work. So at some point I hope to spark that project up with him again, because that was one of my favorite knives. And if you go way back about 4 years on my channel, you'll see a video that I did about automatic knives. I think it's called Let's Talk About Automatic Knives. And in that video is a dual action ProTech knife, a production knife, but it was based off of Jeff Harkins' design on the ATAC Pro. So it was a manually opening folder with a hidden scale release where the carbon fiber scale pivoted within the frame where you couldn't see it, you couldn't detect it, you didn't know a switch was there. And it's still to this day one of the coolest knives I've ever owned. And I said, you know what, I have to have a custom version of this someday, and in some of the more unique finishing that he does. And that's what I'm going to be going for when the opportunity presents itself once again. So while he is accepting orders, do be mindful that you're going to have a long wait. And that's really commonplace with any really good high-end custom knife maker anyway. I've had the opportunity to meet Jeff a couple of times at the Blade Show. He's a really wonderful guy, very nice, very warm personality, and certainly very easily approachable. So as we are now only a few days away from Blade Show 2017, I'll tell you that I don't know if he's exhibiting there or not, but if he is, stop by his table and talk to him and meet him and get an idea for what a cool cat he really is. Let's go ahead and show you this one again. I just love the workmanship that's put into what we look at really most of the time as a utilitarian style knife, the out the front knives. He definitely blends the world of art knives into practical EDCs as well. This one may not be a practical EDC, but you know what? This one here, maybe with less of a shiny finish to it and a pocket clip, would be an excellent everyday carry knife. Yes, it has the art knife elements, it has all the beautiful shaping, all of this detail work, the incredible switch, and the obviously the very extravagant blade. But you can make a, I don't want to call it a dumbed down version, but a less extravagant version, and have that as an everyday carry if you like to carry out the front knives. So while his overall premise is otherworldly and almost fantasy, he can do pretty much anything. And he's done some very EDC friendly knives that were very toned down and not as artistic, and they're still unbelievably gorgeous. And obviously that would cost you a lot less money if everything wasn't hand polished and rubies and Damascus and this and that. So don't look at these as the only example of his work. It is important, as I mentioned earlier, to visit his website over at customknives.net and see the things that he's accomplished, from basic to unbelievable one-off, over-the-top artistic designs that you'll sit there and shake your head and go, how the fuck did he do that? And that's what attracted me to his knives. Probably around 7 or 8 years ago, when I was really first starting to get back, or get into initially into custom knives, And I would find all these art knife websites, and his knives would always be present there. You know, $4,000, $5,000, $8,000 knives. And at that time, I couldn't fathom spending over $100 on a knife. It just didn't make any sense to me. I didn't understand it. And I would look at the beauty of the work that he was doing, and I was like, wow, I get it. I understand why knives can cost as much as they do. And from that day, I had always wanted to have one of his knives. It's rare for me to be able to say that I have Grail knives anymore, or that I have a maker that before I die, I need to have a knife made by them. And Jeff Harkins is one of those very, very, very few makers that I can say that about. And I've said that about for years. If you watch almost any video that I've uploaded in the past 5 years that have to deal with out the front automatic knives, at some point I've used his name in comparison by saying, you know, if you want the best, if you want yada yada yada, you look at a Jeff Harkins, because he is one of those legacy makers that long after he has passed away, people will be collecting and talking about his work. You know, it's like talking about a Loveless knife. You know, I think that he is going to live on in that sense, because he's broken so much new ground in the design of out the front knives and the beauty and the detail that he's chosen to put in them. So it's been a great pleasure for me to come out here and bring these knives. I'm an uber fanboy, I'll admit it. If there was a flaw with these knives, I don't know that I'd want to spill the beans here on video, but to be honest with you, I've not found a flaw aside from, you know, the finish from a knife that's been carried. But as far as the way they're made, I mean, these are about as perfect as human hands can possibly make. But yes, I am a fanboy, I am biased, and one day I will have one of his knives in my collection. So look for that sometime in the future, and I will be giggling like a little schoolgirl when I get the chance to bring out, you know, one that, you know, that's in my own collection. I do want to thank Randy Phillips very, 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 very much for loaning me these two knives. He actually gave these to me 2 months ago, and I've not had any opportunity to sit down and make a video with them. So Randy, thank you not only for loaning out such expensive specimens, but also for being as patient as you have been. It's been a great pleasure having them here, and just seeing them and touching them and feeling the craftsmanship that goes into each one of these knives. I'm truly blown away. I'm much more of a fanboy now than I ever was. So if it was your idea to drive me crazy and green with envy, that most certainly worked. All right, guys, I'm out of here for now, and I will see you on the next video.